Thank you so much for agreeing to volunteer participate in my DNP school project. Every nurse who gets her Doctor of Nursing practice has to show that she can bring about quality improvement. So my quality improvement is focused on nurses' well-being. Specifically, I've been a telephone triage nurse for 17 years, going on 18, and our well-being is different per se, the maintenance of it, than say a hospital nurse. And so my project is focused on telephone triage nursing debriefing tool implementation. And this is a step-by-step layout of what will be requested of you to do as participants in my project. And thank you so much. So the agenda, this is the layout of the project. First, I'm just going to do a brief introduction. We're going to talk about the clinical question, the aim of the project. Step 1 will be an email to the telephone triage nurses at work care. Step 2 is your consent to participate. Step 3 is a pre-survey to get a baseline. Step 4 is the engagement process. So that's 8 weeks is the longevity of the project. And so the first step is the debriefing tool, and then the second step is the wellness and recovery for difficult callers for the triage nurses. Step 5 in the end will be the post survey to see, do you think it helped? Do you think it worked? What can we do to make it better? And how can we, if you have any ideas, improve wellness, or does the debriefing tool and the wellness tools help? An introduction to my project. So telephone triage nurses are registered nurses and licensed practical nurses who work virtually, combining medical protocols and technology to care for patients remotely. These telephone triage nurses encounter difficult callers every day. This DNP project presents a case for implementing a quality improvement debriefing project to support these nurses. Telephone triage nurses encounter distressed and anxious callers and must provide reassurance, empathy, and support while gathering vital information and making critical decisions. This is emotionally demanding, and that can significantly add stress to the role of the telephone triage nurse, and this can decrease job satisfaction. Have you ever had a really bad call? It kind of ekes into the next call, the shift, your overall feeling, how the day went. Even though you did nothing wrong, just having that negative feeling on the other end of the line is hard. So I feel utilizing a debriefing tool and a difficult caller wellness recovery tool could support these nurses and improve organizational culture and ultimately improve telephone triage nursing job satisfaction. My clinical question. So the peacock question that guides this DNP project is, among telephone triage nurses, what is the impact of a debriefing tool and post-difficult caller wellness recovery tool compared to no debriefing tool and post-difficult caller wellness recovery tool on nursing staff satisfaction over an 8-week period? So the aim of the project. I was an ER nurse for a really long time, 15 years, and I did peds trauma. You know, there can be very traumatic events that happen. Sometimes patients don't make it, and this can be really distressing for the nurses. And when these things happen, if you've ever worked in a hospital, which I'm sure you all have at some point, or even in nursing school, they use debriefing tools. So say you worked or you had clinical for that shift, and then after the shift they're going to say what happened, how do you feel, what went well, what didn't, what's your reflection, and what did you learn. So that is debriefing. So debriefing tools are commonly used for bedside nursing after a traumatic event. So much like an ER nurse will fill out a debriefing tool after a traumatic event, this study aims to apply the same procedure to the telephone triage nurse who has had a difficult caller. Then the second step is the post-debriefing wellness recovery handout. And this is a supportive tool that gives the triage nurses techniques for recovering from the difficult caller. So the aim is to support the telephone triage nurses' well-being and recovery from a difficult caller, thereby increasing job satisfaction. So my project has 5 steps. Thank you for volunteering. The first step is the email. So everybody will get an email, and then consent to participate. So you've agreed to participate already, so you know you're here. And then there'll be a pre-survey. So this includes some demographical information. All of this is anonymous. I won't even know who filled out what. Your supervisors won't know. Nobody's going to know. My school doesn't know. It's all through a online survey tool called JotForm. So then the 4th step is sort of the big step, the 8-weeker, and that's where you continue to take your calls, and then you're going to utilize the debriefing tool. I'm going to get into that, and the wellness recovery handout after a difficult call. And then step 5, post-survey. So that's saying, what do you think? How did it go? Step 1, informational email. So the telephone triage nurses of work care will receive an information for my DNP project participation through the company email. Step 2, consent to participate. So this is, you'll sign something saying, yes, I consent to participate. Now, so we will know, or I will know, only I will know, unless I get audited, who agreed to participate in my study. Your supervisors may not know, my school won't know, but I do have that consent because I need to have that consent that it's legitimate, that my study is real, that it is a real QI project, that I can get a DNP with legitimate statistical information gathered from you, and thank you. Okay, so this is step 3. This is the pre-survey. This includes, like I said, basic demographic information. This will be how long you've been a nurse, male or female, where do you live, but this will be regional, so East Coast, West Coast, US, that kind of thing. Confidential and anonymous, and it's going to be accessed through JotForm. That is the link there, but I will send a more implicit instructions once we get started. This survey only takes a few minutes. It's yes, no, very much, not very much, that kind of thing. Step 4, you continue to work. You continue to take your calls every single day as you normally would. When you have that difficult caller, then we're going to move on to A and B of the step 4. So the debriefing tool, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of this, because every DNP project has to have something you can initiate. So it can't just be an idea or an educational tool. It couldn't just be a wellness tool. It has to be an actual project. So you're going to fill out the debriefing tool. It's pretty much exactly what this says here. How do you feel? What happened? What did you learn? How does this relate? What if? What next? How do you feel? And you can print it out and just keep it for journaling, because journaling is very evidence-based practice to help us get through things. Or you can access it through JotForm and fill it out online. These are completely anonymous. Nobody's going to read them. Ultimately, if the project works, then yeah, maybe this could be a conversation you had with your supervisor if you wanted to submit it to them. But for this school project, for me, it's just, it's for you. It's to see, does it help? Write it down, think it through. And my favorite part of the project, the wellness recovery tool. So this is a handout. There's also a PowerPoint presentation, and then there's also like a quick reference guide. So something you could print out and just keep by your desk. So that includes, deep breathing, like 2 in, 1 out, look around, feel your feet, mindfulness practices, that kind of thing. So there is a longer version that obviously you will not have time to listen to between calls, but just giving you the background of being emotionally hijacked, what that does to us when you feel your heart elevate and all of that, and then what can we do to protect ourselves from these things. And then step 5, the post-satisfaction survey, staff satisfaction survey, again through JotForm, completely anonymous. It doesn't have the demographical portion, but you say, did the debriefing tool help? Did the wellness help? How do you feel? Did you like it? Did you didn't like it? And then what would you do different? And that will still give me some insight for my statistical research for my project. And I just really, really wanted to say thank you for participating. We're all nurses. We all know how group projects can be really, really hard because you can't do them alone, right? We have to have help from other nurses. And I know I'm new here, but I already feel like part of the Work Care family, and I really, 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 really appreciate you guys participating, and I hope it helps. I've been a nurse a really long time, and I've seen a lot of nurses come and go telephone triage nursing because they do have those difficult calls, and they do kind of, you know, you're remote, you're home. There's nobody to go to the water cooler and say, oh my gosh, or, you know, there's no one to vent to. You can't tell your family, it's confidential. So I think that these tools, I hope, will help us. I've been a triage nurse a really long time. I hope to be a triage nurse for a really long time more. And I hope that these tools will help all of us kind of get to that point where we are satisfied. We're not burning out. We are happy. We can be empathetic on every call, and we're quicker to recovery from these difficult callers. They don't hijack us emotionally. Again, thank you so much.